Hello and welcome to the Spotlight Games podcast. Because we took last week off from the news to decide the best PlayStation game ever made, we have 2 weeks of news to catch up on, which means we have a Nintendo Direct, a PlayStation State of Play, a Ubisoft Showcase, and a Disney Marvel Showcase to cover. And on top of all of that, a bunch of GTA 6 footage leaked in what is probably one of the biggest video game leaks of all time. So we got a shit ton of news to talk about. Let's jump right in. I'm joined, as always, as I have been every week, except like one, by my sweet dumpster boy, Cayman. Cayman, it's a new dawn. It's a new day. How you feeling, Bubba?
Patrick, I have a question for you.
Okay, hit me.
All right. Do you think we're living in a simulation?
You know, I think we might. And I have an answer as to why I think we might. Yesterday, I'm driving Rose, my wife, to her office of business because she's about to go on a trip to another part of the country for work. We're driving in. Who do I see just chilling on the street? Kevin Hart. Just on the phone on the street. I text a group chat like, hey, how weird is this? I just saw Kevin Hart on the street. Not 10 seconds later, I'm behind a car whose license plate was King Hart.
Are you ready for me to make it worse?
Yes, honestly, I am.
Apparently, in 1995, Mariah Carey secretly recorded a grunge album. And then today announced that the grunge album she secretly recorded that apparently was just a rumor, like a hearsay thing that people, like an urban legend, one might say, will be released.
What?
I don't know what to say, Patrick.
Do we have a title?
There's nothing yet. Nothing yet. But she said it's coming soon. A Mariah Carey grunge album, Patrick.
I could have guessed 1,000 times. I could have guessed 1,000,000 times. I never would have gotten to Mariah Carey grunge album.
Could you imagine she, on this grunge album, has a cover, a grunge cover of All I Want for Christmas Is You?
I mean, if it's not there,
missed opportunity.
Mamma mia. Truly, I don't know what we'll do if that's not there. Oh my God.
Either way, I feel befumbled.
Yeah, you should be befumbled.
I walked into this episode with that knowledge, and it is, I would say, derailed my entire day.
Yeah, I kind of feel like everything around me is melting.
Yes.
Yeah. I'm scared. I don't feel safe. I need someone to hold me. I just hope it's not Nick Cannon to hold me, because otherwise I'll end up being pregnant.
That is true.
Yeah.
That is true.
Look, we got a lot of stuff to talk about because this is the Spotlight Games podcast, where each week we spotlight the latest and the greatest in the world of video games and the life and times of Mariah Carey. You can get it by subscribing to our YouTube channel or by searching for Spotlight Games in your favorite podcast app. And hey, you can be on the show by tuning in as we record live Tuesdays at 8 p.m. Eastern time on twitch.tv/Spotlight Games Pod. You can also follow us on Instagram and TikTok at Spotlight Games Pod, or on Twitter at Spot Games Pod. So be sure to follow us in all those places so you're notified when we go live, so you can be part of the conversation. Cayman, it's a Tuesday as we record, which you know what that means. Save Trash Cinema.
Oh, fuck. We both. Okay. Good.
Yep. We're on the same page today.
We're on the same page today. Well, that's good. Save Trash Cinema came out today, where we covered the 2000 film Final Destination, which everyone fucking remembers that movie. Let's just say things get a little spicy on this episode.
Ooh.
Patrick, would you mind if I give a little teaser to what we're doing next week?
Tease me, baby.
I'm just going to drop a little teaser here. Let's just say next week's episode, the film we're covering, stars Jenna Jameson. And no, it is not pornography.
Well, it's interesting because I watch it on Pornhub.com.
I mean, I wouldn't be shocked if it's actually on Pornhub.com. www.pornhub.com.
Yep.
But it is not. I'm not going to tell you the title, but for all of you out there listening, you can look forward to next week's episode because I have a feeling that episode is going to be raunchy as fuck.
Yeah, we'll give you a little hint. It may or may not be in the same universe as The Last of Us. There's a little hint for you. Cayman, there is so much news to talk about because, as I mentioned top of the show, we had what I think was a banger of an episode. A lot of great feedback from the people that have that were live, from the people that have listened, in which you, me, and our friend Jordan Conley decided in a bracket of 64 games what was the best PlayStation game ever made. So we didn't talk about the news because we talked about PlayStation games for 2 hours last week. So we have so much goddamn news to talk about, but it wouldn't be the Spotlight Games podcast if we didn't talk about what we're playing.
It's fair.
Cayman, tell us a little bit about what you're playing, because I forgot to bring a prop, so I'm going to walk out, but you tell us a little bit about what you've been playing.
So I'm going to take this opportunity while Patrick walks away to not talk about well, I guess I'm talking about what I've been playing, I suppose. But I'm going to tell a story. So recently when we're playing Dead by Daylight, we have been doing what we like to call as a rave party to end all of our gaming sessions. Now, what a rave party is we all show up, ran to a match with 4 players, all carrying flashlights and wearing our fanciest of outfits. And what we do is we proceed to seek the killer out immediately, which is the complete opposite of what you're supposed to be doing in this game. And then we proceed to dance around the killer with a flashlight. And so last night we're all playing, and the final match of the game, we end up going up against Nemesis from Resident Evil 3. And what ends up happening there is we ended up getting on a saloon bar with him as he T-posed and spun around like a ballerina. And we just flashlighted up in the air, just danced with him.
Hell yeah.
Danced with him. And then we let him sacrifice all of us in the basement. The whole thing here is that there's an achievement and a trophy if you're a killer. It's the hardest one in the game. And that is to hook every single survivor in the basement at one time. It is absolutely miserable to try to pull off. Like, it is just almost impossible. So for all of the people that we go against, because these are randos, right? These people don't know us from Adam. We treat them to a full-on dance party. If they're a good sport, we go to the basement and we help them get one of the hardest achievements. And the goal here is to try to bring a little humanity back to the world, because I think we're in definite need of it. Showing that Mariah Carey made a grunge album in 1995.
Oh my god, I've been shaking since you said that. Not 6 minutes ago. I don't know what to do. I've been very busy the last few days.
I've heard.
Yeah. Cayman, and I'll tell you why. For our video listeners, I'm about to reveal what I've been so preoccupied with these last couple days.
Oh, do you toast them?
I don't. So what I'm holding up is a peanut butter and strawberry jam Uncrustable, which accidentally is the wrong thing, because I meant to pull up my right hand, which is I got a Steam Deck.
You do. And you do indeed in your hand.
I tell you what.
Tell me.
Gun to my head, am I choosing the Uncrustable or the Steam Deck? I don't know what to do, because they're both so delicious. They're so delightful. I love this Steam Deck so far. I got it Saturday. So really, I mean, I've only had it for like 72 hours. The first day, I was worried. I'll be honest. I was worried that I had just spent money on something that was just going to cause me nothing but headaches. Because for those of you who don't know, a Steam Deck is essentially a Nintendo Switch, except it is a PC that is created by Valve, the company who makes Steam, which is like the largest game store on computers. So this thing is a computer. Like, it has a desktop mode where like you can hook up a mouse to it. And so the first thing I did naturally was get emulations on this thing, which is very legal, very above board, because I just want to play some GameCube games. So and it took me literally like 4 hours to get this, probably because I'm an idiot. But I was like, man, if all these things are going to be this difficult, this might be a mistake. But ever since that, I got through all those issues. I figured out my problems, and I've just been playing so much Gauntlet Dark Legacy from the Nintendo GameCube.
Mm.
I've been playing a little God of War 2018.
Ooh.
I've been playing a little Resident Evil 2 2019, 2017, whatever year that was, 2019. And I'm just so impressed by this little piece of hardware. You know, depending on what it is, like God of War, it'll only stay alive for like an hour. Because I mean, it's God of War. Like,
Sure.
it's such a powerhouse of graphics. I'm playing Gauntlet Dark Legacy. I can go for like 7 hours of power because it's Gauntlet Dark Legacy released in like 2003 or whatever. But so I haven't done a lot of the AAA stuff. Like it has this cool feature where it'll kind of look ahead to tell you how much battery is left based on the computing power it's doing. So like I played 10 minutes of Resident Evil, and as I was playing, it was like, you have like 3 hours of battery left. So like, I don't know, because like if for the big stuff, it's only going to let me have 1, 2, or 3 hours of battery, that might end up being a bit of a hassle. But I don't know. So the jury's still out. This is definitely just first impressions so far. I've really not spent a ton of time with it, but I've spent about as much time with it as I could. But I mean, putting it up to my face for video people, this thing is big. This is a beefy boy. This is a lot bigger than a Switch, and it feels a lot heavier than a Switch too. But it's got like these little like mouse pads on it, like track pads. So like there's a lot of really cool stuff it can do. It's got these little back paddles. I've never like the Vita had like back touch stuff, but Steam, like these actually have buttons on the back that you can map for certain things. Like I was playing a tiny bit of Wind Waker, the Wii U version, which
the best version,
which I've never been able to play because I never had a Wii U. But the thing about the Wii U version is you were holding a Steam Deck like object and the game was on your TV. So I had to do some sleuthing to like make it to where these buttons like change my view to where I'm either looking at the tablet or I'm looking at the TV. So there's been some technical hurdles, to say the least. But I will have a lot more to say next week, I think, but I'm really, really pleased so far.
So I have one big question. Actually, I have
please.
2 questions. I got 2
Yeah,
questions.
ask me as many questions as you want. This is a video game podcast after all.
So my biggest concern about the Steam Deck is size. Because even I think, and I have fairly large hands. I have a very small head. My head is absolutely tiny. But my hands, I got big head. I got big hands, right?
You think you're the only person I know whose hands are bigger than their head?
Yes, that's probably true. My head is absolutely minuscule compared to the rest of my body. So my question is, when I'm holding a Switch and like say I'm like laying in bed or sitting on the couch and I'm playing whatever I'm playing on the Switch at the time, it feels cumbersome and it feels kind of awkward holding in my hands because it's just kind of bulky. And what ends up happening is more often than not, I just end up putting whatever I'm playing on the TV and then I go smaller and it feels more comfortable. I guess maybe because I'm more of a controller guy. Do you feel like, because it is significantly larger than the Switch?
My Switch is in the other room too. I was going to put them up next to each other, but keep going. Keep asking your question.
Do you think that that's an issue with how bulky it is?
I think it could be. So it only comes as the Steam Deck. It doesn't have a dock like a Switch does. Like this is intended to be a handheld only device. However, you can get, funnily enough, you know that adapter that I bought that Amazon gave me 10 of?
Yes.
That can be used to put this on the TV.
Wow.
Because it has the USB-C port and it has an HDMI on it. So yesterday after work, I put this bad boy on the TV and was playing Gauntlet Dark Legacy on an OLED, and it looked incredible.
Oh man.
So like,
great.
So like, I did have some trouble getting, so you can hook up a PlayStation controller, an Xbox controller, like any, I don't know about a Switch controller, like a Pro controller, but it's very compatible with Bluetooth controllers. I had a bit of a problem with the Xbox controller, specifically with Gauntlet Dark Legacy, because it's an emulation. And like, so the emulators, you know, they're not strictly speaking supposed to happen. So like they come with bugs. It's like part of the thing is like you have to kind of fight against it a little bit at first. But once I was able to get the controller to work with it, I do think this is something that I bought it like a dock that basically does what my adapter does, but I can actually like sit the thing down by the TV. I do think that there will be times when I want to dock this to play some games on the TV. I do think I will mostly play it in handheld mode. But if you think that the Switch sometimes is too bulky, this thing is going to feel like a fucking tank to you. Because it is so much bigger than the Switch and it's so much heavier than the Switch.
Gotcha.
Because I mean, it's a fucking whole PC in here. Like,
yeah, sure.
It can run God of War well. It just, I mean, it burns the battery, but like it looks good. Resident Evil 2 looks like I'm playing the PS4 version of Resident Evil 2 just on a little. I actually don't know how big the screen is. Maybe like 10 inches, maybe.
Okay. Second question, Patrick.
Yeah, go. Yeah, please.
Second question is, I was talking with Sydney about this.
Yeah.
And you know, Sydney is a big farm sim person. She loves her farm sims.
Yep. I know she does.
And she's all hyped up for the sequel to My Time at Portia, which is My Time at Sandrock.
Oh, yeah.
Currently in early access right now, but you can only play it on Steam. So she was like, man, I really want to play it. And I was telling her about the Steam Deck, and she was like, do you think that's something that like I could actually utilize? And I'm like, honestly, I don't know. So for someone like Sydney,
yeah,
do you think that like Steam is the UI, does it work well enough to be like for someone who maybe isn't as savvy in terms of like gaming as maybe myself or you are? Do you think that that would be something that would be an investment worth pursuing for someone like her? You just answered my question. Patrick pulled up the Steam Deck and he had My Time at Sandrock on it already. So
weekend deal. It's 15% off right now on the Steam store. That didn't actually answer your question. It just said that yes, My Time at Sandrock is available on the Steam Deck. I will say, I have been encountering this issue that I just forgot about until right now. And it's apparently a known issue with the Steam Deck. And there's a way to fix it. I just haven't taken the time to fix it. Sometimes this thing won't connect to the internet. Like, it's like the Steam whatever is unavailable. I'm like, bitch, it's available. And I Google it. And like, apparently this is like a known issue where like, part of the computer will like want to try to do power saver settings, and the power saver settings like sacrifice the Wi-Fi capability, and like apparently you have to like put it into dev mode and like switch a thing. Since then I've actually not had the issue, but all of yesterday it like I had to keep restarting it to go look at the store.
So hold on. So answer me that. So does it need to be connected to Wi-Fi at all times to be able to play anything?
No, but if you want to be like looking at the store to buy new things, or like if you want to buy something, and you can't connect to Wi-Fi, you can't buy something.
Fair.
Unless you have one of those adapters I talked about where like you can plug in the Ethernet and use an Ethernet cable. So I say that to lay the groundwork that like if I keep encountering those kinds of weird fucking computer type issues, like PC type issues with this thing, it might not be a good thing for someone who's just not tech savvy or like not bothered by putting in the work to troubleshoot. Like honestly, that's the main reason I've never gotten a gaming PC, is that I don't want to put in the time to troubleshoot when like a driver is not working. This is a simplified enough rig where I won't ever have a driver's issue. But like the other day I was like, I want to see, because Steam is famous for having like really deep sales all of the time. It's like a genius marketing tactic where like I spent like $80 in video games the first day I got it. And with those $80, I got God of War for $40. So half of that was God of War. I also got Persona 4 Golden. I got Resident Evil 2, Metal Gear Solid 5, The Witcher 3 Game of the Year edition, Vampire Survivor, something. It's like a $3 game. But like all of these games, I got like 9 other games for a combined $40. Most of those games retail at $60. So like the sales on Steam are like they're stupid, but it gets people like me to spend another $40 on games because they're so cheap.
Yeah.
So like while there is a very there's like a clear like accessibility or like approachability level to it, I worry that there will be more issues where like I just couldn't get it to connect to Wi-Fi, and like that's just like a known bug. So like I don't know, it's still a little early to say, but I think probably more so I would go on the favorable side of your question than the not, because the Steam store does have so many more indie games than like a Switch or a PlayStation does. And while not all of them are Steam Deck compatible, most of them it seems are, and ones that aren't, if you are willing to like get like a Bluetooth keyboard or a Bluetooth mouse to like use that when you need to, then it'll work just fine. Like as long as you have that capability and you're willing to do that, then yeah, that was a really long answer, but did it answer your question?
It did, and I think that's an important question for people who aren't, and that's totally fine if you're not. If you're someone like us, me especially, who's someone like you said, doesn't want to troubleshoot, doesn't want to go through all those hoops and hassles to be able just to play one fucking game.
Right.
It makes sense. Yeah, I appreciate that. Thank you.
Yeah, and like one last thing too. So I had mentioned how good God of War looks. At first, God of War looked like garbage, but I had to YouTube like how to make God of War look better on my Steam Deck, and I had to tweak some settings like within the game and like change the frame rate and stuff. Now, once I did that, it took me 10 minutes, but once I did that, it looked really good. But first, it like at the beginning of the game when you're fighting the Draugr and they're like the zombie guys, and like they like this molten look of blood coming out of them. Do you remember this?
Yes.
It looked blood, molten lava blood looks like 60-bit on this, and I was like, "It's really weird. Like, it's so like crystal Kratos, and I'm hitting these guys, and their blood looks like it's being like brought over from an NES." And I like tweaked the settings. I messed with the frame rate, and there was like really bad motion, and then now like it looks really good. So like I'm afraid that more games are gonna like that. Still too early to tell, but so yeah, I don't know. I'm still very happy with it, and I will be putting a lot more time into it. But so far, I've spent 90% of my time playing GameCube games on this fucking.
You know what? I actually kind of love that. Nintendo, if you're out there listening, missed opportunity, not just putting your shit out.
If I could buy Gauntlet Dark Legacy on a Nintendo Switch or any modern gaming console, I would spend that money. But there isn't a way for me to do it. That's why I'm emulating it. And like I've set a rule for myself, I will only emulate something that I cannot pay the developers for. If I have to pay some random Joe Blow off the street, I'm not going to do that. But if I can pay Nintendo for their game, I will do that. But it's not a game I can pay Nintendo for. So yeah, that's the Steam Deck. I will be talking more about the Steam Deck as we go on. But that's all I have for now.
Hey, Patrick.
Hey,
speaking of Nintendo not wanting our money.
Let's talk about the Nintendo Direct. So this was last week, right before we recorded the episode with Jordan. They had a 40-minute Direct, and they announced like 95 things. We are going to talk about several showcases, but for the sake of time, we're already 24 minutes into the show. We're going to be doing a little highlights of each of them. So we're going to go through, talk about the things that stuck out to us. So this is not everything that was announced at any of these showcases we're about to talk about, but these are the things that we felt compelled to share with you. Cayman, I've been talking a lot. Do you want to start us off with the Nintendo Direct?
I would absolutely love to. So starting off with the Nintendo Direct, they announced a new Fire Emblem game, a Fire Emblem Engage. And it looks like, guess what? It looks like fucking Fire Emblem. So if you like Fire Emblem, guess what? It's coming January 20th, 2023, which is not that far off, honestly.
Which is not that far off.
Like terrifying this is.
And
we're almost to 2023.
It's true, truly terrifying. The reason I wanted to include this because neither of us are Fire Emblem boys, but apparently this is a big deal because this is the first Fire Emblem game so there was something about Three Houses, which was the most recent one, that was different than most Fire Emblem games. But this one is like more like the originals or something. I don't know what it like,
I don't know,
but apparently it's a big deal. But it's not a big deal to me.
Next up that we have is highlight. This is something I actually brought to the table, which is Story of Seasons: A Wonderful Life. Reason I brought this one up was mainly because it is a life simulator. So it's a farming sim, and it looks a lot like Harvest Moon to a degree. But you get old in the game. You have children in the game, and your children get jobs and age alongside you. And presumably you can, I'm just assuming you could die.
I assume so.
Of old age.
Watching this, I couldn't help but think, did you watch The Rehearsal on HBO?
No, I'm afraid to.
Well, there is very slight spoilers for The Rehearsal. There is a point in which a character like looks in a mirror and all of a sudden they're like 60 years old. And watching this, like it gave me real big The Rehearsal vibes in a good way. But
yeah, it seemed very interesting to me. Like we've never really, I mean, maybe there has been a game that's like that where I mean, I know there's games where you can age in the game, but this seems very unique. And I thought it was worth bringing up. This is a huge announcement. Octopath Traveler 2 was announced. It's coming February 24th, 2023. There are path actions that differ from day to night, intertwining stories, voice acting, 8 new heroes, and it looks fucking incredible.
It looks really good. God, I'm specifically excited for the voice acting.
Oh, yeah.
I don't mind reading a story. I'll read a story all the live long day, but give me some voice acting and I'm a happier boy because now I can just listen. I don't have to read.
Well, it definitely
and intertwining stories.
It adds some gravitas, I think, to the story, which is something that like Octopath Traveler tells very interesting narrative pieces. And so this is very cool how they're doing that. Next up, they announced a new batch of N64 games that are becoming the Switch. In 2022, which is this year, so this year, we're getting Pilot Wing 64, Mario Party, and Mario Party 2. Now, coming down the pipeline in 2023, we're getting Mario Party 3, Pokemon Stadium 2, 1080 Snowboarding, fuck yes, and Excite Bike. Now, or excuse me, Excite Bike 64, because there's...
Thank you.
Yes, I needed to clarify that. Now, this is the biggest announcement from the N64 games. GoldenEye is coming to Switch with online play.
Can you believe it? When they announced Mario Kart 64 and they said you could play online, I didn't believe it. When they announced fucking Mario Tennis and you can play online, I didn't believe it. GoldenEye coming with online play? I don't believe it. I can't believe this is happening.
Here's my thing. Nintendo Online sucks. It just does, right? It's terrible. They also announced, and this wasn't in the Nintendo Direct, but it was also announced simultaneously that GoldenEye is also coming to Game Pass. I think day and date, the same time it launches on Switch. However, the Xbox version of GoldenEye does not include online play, which Microsoft has the best online play.
Yeah. There is a key difference, though, in these versions, other than that. And the one that's coming to Xbox has actually been completely remastered.
Ah, gotcha.
Rare kind of rebuilt it. I don't think it's a remake. I think it's just a remaster. So it'll be more like Last of Us from PS3 to PS4 instead of PS4 to PS5. But yeah, so weird that one only has local multiplayer and the Switch version has full online. I wonder if that's something that like eventually will be patched in, but fucking games are weird, man.
Next up, Nintendo Switch Sports gets an update. Coming this fall, golf is finally coming. Yeah.
So the way you read that answers my question. The reason I wanted to include this was to ask you, does golf get you to pick Switch Sports back up? But I think the answer is no.
No, it doesn't get me to pick Switch Sports back up, but I still am I'm still big on the fact that like I do think so. Like when we go off for our honeymoon, right? Like or not our honeymoon. When we go up to for the wedding, and we've got all these people in the wedding bridal party, you included, are gonna be staying. We're all staying in a huge Airbnb. We're bringing the Switch.
Oh yeah.
This is gonna be a perfect time to bust out Mario Party, Mario Kart, and
Ooh.
especially Switch Sports. Still think this is very much a party game. So golf doesn't do anything for me to pick it up as is. And honestly, golf was the weakest aspect of Switch Sports to me in general when it was on the Wii. So
Wii
like
Sports. Yeah, yeah,
we
yeah.
started Wii Sports. Yeah, it was the weakest part for me anyway. So not feeling it.
Really?
Yeah, I mean, I guess I would put it maybe a little bit higher than boxing.
I was about to
Boxing
say
is my shit.
boxing, really?
Next up, Miyamoto comes on stage, and he's talking about an AR Pikmin game, and no one wanted that, but guess what? It exists. And then he showed off a really cool shirt, which was a teaser because guess what? Pikmin 4, it was a fucking announced. It's coming 2023. And it had like 8 seconds of gameplay footage. And
I laughed so hard when the trailer for Pikmin 4 was like literally 8 seconds long. And they're like, thank you. Please be excited for Pikmin 4. I'm like, bitch, you just showed me 6 seconds of it. How can I be
dude,
excited?
Pikmin fans, balls out excited.
Oh,
Balls out
yeah.
excited. Also, the new
I
shirt thing was it was like, and look at my cool shirt I've got. Like, also the please be excited. Why would you ask people to be excited? Like,
it is a
what
Japanese thing
is
because
it?
Square Enix does it all the time. Nintendo does it all the time in their
What
directs.
the
Please be
fuck?
excited for this
I
next
don't
thing. And
understand it.
the
Is it a,
English
like
dubbing of it, I think it's
really?
just I think it's a customs thing. Like I think if you're speaking Japanese, the way they say it, it probably translates to like please be excited, but it probably has like a different meaning, but
Dude,
it's being translated and it just seems so weird and sad when
it's
it's
just like
dubbed in
this is very
English.
so like look at our shirt. Please be
Please be
excited
excited for this game.
about
I beg
this.
of you.
Um,
But
next,
last thing really quick. I hope I'm gonna try to get into Pikmin before Pikmin 4. I want to give it a real shot because it's such a big franchise that I've never really played much of, and I want to respect it.
I think Pikmin has a very special place in the world, so I'm excited that we're getting a fourth one. And like the trailer that we did see looked really good, or the 8 seconds we saw looked good. We got a new game coming from the devs behind Danganronpa, which Danganronpa is fucking awesome. Called Raincoat. It's coming spring of 2023. This is a huge one for me. Tales of Symphonia remastered looks fucking gorgeous. Coming early 2023. I'm a huge Tales guy. Getting Tales of Symphonia, which is like one of the first games in the series, like it's like where Tales took off. Getting it, I just really hope that it's not a Nintendo exclusive because I just want trophy support for that because
Sure.
give me something.
I have never played a Tales game. I still have the Tales game you lent
Dude,
me. I just
I
haven't played it yet.
love Tales so much.
But I'm really excited for this because I feel like this is a great entry point for what is like
Yeah.
maybe the most celebrated of the Tales games.
Oh yeah, hands down.
So I'm stoked.
Whole thing gets wrapped up with a probably about a minute long, maybe minute 30-second long trailer for Breath of the Wild 2, which is titled Tears of the Kingdom or Tears of the Kingdom. I don't think anyone actually knows what the title is because it's either Tears or Tears, and I refuse to believe what anyone says unless it comes directly from Miyamoto's mouth. But guess what? It is coming May 12th, 2023. The game looks like Breath of the Wild 2, except more in the air, I think. I don't fucking know. It looks cool, I guess.
Came in. This trailer came out over a week ago, and I never considered that it could be Tears of the Kingdom.
Right? Right?
Because like we're in the air, we're in space, we're not in like capital S space, we're in fucking the stratosphere. There could be fucking tears of like Zelda really big on time. There's
Yeah.
always like fucking time shit. Could be like tears in time. Cayman.
That's what I'm saying. I don't believe until I literally hear Miyamoto say, please be excited about Tears of the Kingdom, will I believe that is the actual title.
You know what is actually funny about this though? Is that the live stream of this direct was not played in England. Quote, in respect for the death of the Queen, Elizabeth II.
It's fucking stupid.
And now I think it's because the subtitle being Tears or Tears of the Kingdom, the United Kingdom, I understand why they didn't do it.
Either torn apart or they're in mourning. See, it goes both ways. We don't know the name of the game. No one said it out loud. No one ever
Tears.
said the title. Claire River.
Tears of the Kingdom. That's a little crossover joke with the Final Destination. But yeah, I think it looks really sick. Like we really didn't get much of it, but like scrolling ahead to like when he's just fucking, he does that skydive. He's just jumping down. Cool. Fucking, this is like straight out of Point Break.
Yeah, it looks very vertical, which is interesting. Which I'm curious how that's going to play out into like the total game. Like, is it going to be multi-leveled? Is it going to be like the same size world map? Like, there's a lot of questions I have. I think it's pretty cool though. Ultimately, though, I do think like for people who are farm sim fans, like this direct really was for you, because it was like majority farm sims. I would say like 80% of it was farm sims. The next 15% were JRPGs, which is cool. And then the next leftover was Pikmin related and Zelda related. But we didn't get things. We didn't get any information about Wind Waker, Twilight Princess, which they said is they've said it's coming. We didn't get anything about Metroid. We didn't get anything about the next Mario, which I could see you holding off. So, but it is interesting with Breath. I'm just going to call it Breath of the Wild 2 until I know what the actual fucking title is actually called. But I think it's interesting it's coming in May, because that's not like a normal time that you would see like a huge blockbuster game like this being released. Maybe February would be a time, or, obviously the fall is a huge time for big games. So part of me is wondering if maybe we do end up getting a new Mario game and that Mario game drops in the fall.
Could be. Could be.
That could be a scenario that I could see happening. Ultimately, though, I think that this direct was kind of hit and miss. Wasn't the most exciting thing in the world. And it just kind of felt a little schizophrenic at times, because it was like it seemed like it was trying to play to a very certain audience at one point, but then it was like, oh no, we still need to try to wrangle in other people. It just felt very, I don't know, just the vibe felt off.
Yeah, there was a lot of dissonance throughout. Here's the thing, Cameron. I'm looking at this trailer. We got this Metal Gear Solid 5 arm happening where like it's like this weird, like it looks like different. And then you go over here, he's climbing this thing. He's got like his hair's a lot longer. I don't know. I think there might be some tears in time here.
Could be some tears in time.
Could be some tears in time.
Could be some tears in time too.
Could be some tears in time. So yeah, we got some folks in the chat. We got John in the chat. Summer release ? May 12th. Is that technically summer? It's like a late spring release.
Late spring, yeah.
So yeah, I don't know. I'm excited for it. We'll see. But I do expect that we will get another direct this year.
Yeah.
Like, we got to hear about the next Mario. Like, it's been so long since we've heard about the next mainline Mario. They've talked about Metroid. It's been so long since they talked about Metroid. Like, we got to be getting more. And then those fucking ports, those Zelda ports. I'm so shocked that we did not get them. But hey,
interesting stuff. Badger, do you want to take us
stuff
into the state of play?
Let's take us into the state of play. This one will definitely be a lot shorter. This one, it was a lot fewer announcements. We still pared it down a little bit. So PlayStation had a state of play the same day, actually, as the Nintendo Direct last week. And these are some of the highlights. They showed off a Sega game that has never been released outside of Japan and is being rebuilt from the ground up. It is, has some Yakuza vibes. Some Yakuza vibes, but in a samurai setting called Like a Dragon.
This is actually a Yakuza game.
And it turns out it is a Yakuza game. They weren't clear about this at a state of play, but it's like a fucking feudal looking Yakuza game. And
so
I'm stoked.
It's a feudal Japan themed game with elements of like the Yakuza series, like the campy, overtly weird shit that you get from those games that I love so much. However, it's apparently based around a lot of historical figures that get replaced by characters from the Yakuza games. So a lot of these like famous historical characters are just like literally they're just carried like Ryu and different characters from the Yakuza series are going to be
That's amazing.
In this, so it's very interesting. It does not look anything like a Dragon, the Yakuza Like a Dragon 7 actually.
Right. Because
Looks
this
something
is
like this looks more like the old school Yakuza games where it is action combat focused, it's not turn based strategy like Yakuza Like a Dragon was, but still looks fucking awesome. I'm so
and
excited.
this is different, right, than the
Mhm.
game that was announced a few days later, Yakuza 8,
Mhm.
Like a Dragon.
Game of the year 2024, baby. Yakuza 8, Like a Dragon.
It's so weird that there are
Dude,
2 games called Like a Dragon are coming out, except one has an
there's
8 and one doesn't.
honestly, it's all about like the translation. The Sega's fucking terrible at marketing shit. Just
Hey,
terrible.
as long as Sonic's there, I'll be happy. We also got another look. This is Hogwarts Legacy is starting to be this year's death loop, I think, where
Yeah.
we're seeing it every time we turn around. And it's so weird to me, Cayman, because every time we see this game, it truly looks like a different video game. They
Yes.
showed off in this state of play that there's like a special PlayStation exclusive like mission line, and it has like a real spooky looking vibe to it. Truly looks like
I
a
thought it was a
different
whole
game than we have seen.
because they didn't set up in the state of play that it was Hogwarts Legacy until literally the very end of the trailer.
Yeah.
And I was like, is this like a wizard horror game? Looks wild. And here's the thing is it seems like every other time that we see any gameplay or anything from this game, it either was like very intriguing and it's like, okay, this looks kind of cool, or it's like this game looks like dog shit.
Yeah.
It is so weird. It is
It's
just
so
all
weird.
over the place. And so that's why I wanted to include it because like one is also coming February 10th. We have a confirmed date. And two, I don't know. Like this to me, it seems like this game is either going to be a 4.5 or it's going to be like an 8.5. Like it's going to be one or the other. It's going to be a game that people are like, yeah, this game's pretty damn good, or this game is dog shit. And I don't know which one, but it's interesting to see all this shit with it.
Friend of the show, John in the chat. Hogwarts is hype.
All right,
He's on the what do you call it? What was the train in the fucking movies? The Express. He's on the Hogwarts hype express.
he's on the Polar Express, baby.
Yeah, we know he is. You know who else is on the Polar Express? Elliot Folds, biggest Polar Express fan I know.
Biggest fan.
Yeah. After that, we got a game called Pacific Drive that, for me, didn't look too interesting, but came in. I want you to talk about this because it spoke to you.
Yeah, I don't know. The game looks really weird. It's got a very interesting art style, and not only that, but apparently it is a survival game where your only companion is your car. There is a very interesting mystery that is something going on in the background. It looks very cool to me.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's a game that like I would necessarily say like this is a day one play for me, but I definitely would be interested to watch people play it because I'm not a big survival guy, but the game just
Yeah.
looks interesting. It looks like it has like a really cool premise behind it because essentially kind of what they've said is like, hey, you're trying to make it to a safety zone and you're going to uncover mysteries along the way. And it is a survival game, and it's just you and your car, which is kind of like Knight Rider. I'm kind of like David Hasselhoff.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
Me and my car.
I will say the premise does sound interesting. So I'm hoping that like the next time we see it, it kind of pulls me in a little bit more.
Yeah.
Because mostly for me, it was the graphics that like it kind of turned me off. It kind of looked like a VR game to me.
Yeah, I'll give you that. But I think it was an interesting design choice though.
Yeah. So I'm not writing it off by any means, but I didn't walk away thinking about it. Sure. After that, we got so the people who make Neo, Bandai Namco, I think. Yes. If not, okay, great.
Team Ninja, I think. Team Ninja.
Yep, you're right. Yep. They showed off a new open world game that looks fucking dope called Rise of the Ronin. It basically looks like Assassin's Creed, but on the PS, like Assassin's Creed 2 specifically. Like it looks almost like they're in like a Renaissance type Italy, but they're not. With PS5 graphics coming in 2024. So it's a little bit out there. So
this is kind of what some insiders have been saying. That this is Team Ninja's answer to Elden Ring.
Interesting.
Which makes me super hyped for it because I thought the first Neo was very tough. It was a very hard game. The second Neo was a much easier, not easier per se, but like it was much more friendly, I think, to newcomers, to the Souls genre. But now coming off the heels of Elden Ring, I'm like, hey man, I wouldn't mind another go at some shit like that. So like, yeah, give it to me. This looks cool as hell.
And gimme. I'm very excited for this. I've never played the Neo games, but I will be playing Rise of the Ronin for
It
sure.
looks fucking dope.
And then after that, we got a heavy helping.
Oh my god.
A heavy helping.
Show me no more. I don't want to see any more. I don't want to know any more. Just give me the fucking game when it comes out in November.
God of War Ragnarok. We got a 3-minute trailer, and for our video watchers, it's up right now. I was already hyped for this game, Cayman. My hype levels are now through the fucking roof. This looks so good. I'm gonna scrub ahead. There is a moment toward the end of the trailer that I really actually it's just like this whole sequence from here to the next bit. So we got Kratos with his son Atreus and the big wolf whose name I forget, shooting an arrow at the sun with like an eclipse situation's happening. Sky tears open. Fucking dope looking little transition here. And then I thought it was right after this. It must be a little bit. I mean, we're basically there. Fucking huge, like octopus looking thing. And then right after this, oh, just inject this into my veins.
God, yeah, man.
Inject it into my veins.
Oh, I want to play this game so badly.
Fucking the Leviathan axe and Mjolnir just fucking colliding. Oh my god. I'm truly beside myself at that time. Yeah, I
gotta save all my words for STC because that's where we get raunchy. Not on this show though. Not on this show though.
Oh yeah.
All right, cool. So we knocked out the PlayStation State of Play, and guess what came up next? The Ubisoft Showcase.
Yes.
So I'll jump in here. God damn. And I'm gonna try to run through this pretty quick. Assassin's Creed Infinity was officially announced. The long rumored and discussed Assassin's Creed Infinity was finally revealed as a platform hub that will serve as the future of the Assassin's Creed franchise. So Infinity won't be a game in the proper sense of the word. Individual games will be released on this platform as time goes on, with the modern-day meta-narrative only taking place in the Infinity hub world as well. So future Assassin's Creed games won't go in and out of the past and modern storylines. Those two things will essentially live separately. They explained it as Infinity will be our own personal animus, and we can hop in and explore various stories at will as they are released.
Which I would like to jump in and say, Cayman was right. That was you were like, I feel like this is going to be like the Animus, and you nailed it.
So the first one coming up in Infinity will begin with Assassin's Creed Codename Red, a game set in, guess what? Feudal Japan. Seems like we're getting a lot of feudal Japan games, and I don't know, man. We'll talk about this later.
Yeah.
Shortly after Red will be Codename Hexe, which is dumb as shit. Which is being described as a, quote, very different type of Assassin's Creed game and may feature witchcraft. It's set during the ancient Roman witch trials. Whether it's in either Red or Hexe, somewhere else, Infinity will also be bringing back multiplayer aspects of the Assassin's Creed franchise that haven't been around for several entries. But to make it more confusing, not every Assassin's Creed game is being released as part of Infinity. So just here comes the next part. Assassin's Creed Mirage. The next major Assassin's Creed game release is coming sometime in 2023. No window given other than the entire year. It will be set in Baghdad 20 years before the events of Assassin's Creed Valhalla, which is the most recent Assassin's Creed game. You will play as Basim, a street thief, as he moves his way up the Assassin's Creed order to the role of Master Thief. Most notable, this entry is going back to the series' roots again and will not be an open-world RPG. It will be a much smaller game focused on stealth, parkour, and assassinations. Then there's Assassin's Creed Jade, which is the first mobile entry in the franchise. And it's called Codename Jade. It is going to be set in ancient China, which is kind of cool, honestly, though it's a mobile game, so fuck that. and will also be more aligned with the classic stealth-focused Assassin's Creed games of old. This will be the first time in Assassin's Creed game that you create your own character. That is cool. Also,
Yeah.
this is mobile game, so this fucking sucks. Assassin's Creed Valhalla is getting its final chapter of story content later this year as well. Netflix and Ubisoft are also partnering on a live-action Assassin's Creed TV show adaptation, and they're releasing 3 new games, one based on Assassin's Creed, unsure if this is codenamed Jade or something else, a sequel to Valiant Hearts, and another game called Mighty Quest. There's a bunch of other shit that was announced during the Ubisoft showcase that wasn't worth bringing up because there's really nothing else to say about any of those games because they don't look very fun. End scene, Patrick.
Yes.
Why?
So here's my thing. So John in the chat makes a great point. People have been asking for Japan Assassin's Creed for years, though.
True. That is true.
Which is true. Here's my issue with all of this, though. I'm a huge Assassin's Creed fan. Probably one of my favorite franchises, like, as a whole. I've played all the games. I love the modern day fucking meta bullshit. I'm one of those guys. And I am so confused at the future of Assassin's Creed when this was supposed to, like, clear it all up for me. Like, I understand, like, on paper, there's Assassin's Creed Infinity, which is, like, going to be, like, a live service. Like, they just inject new games as they make them. But, like, not every game is going to be part of Infinity. So, like, is Infinity its own, like, sphere within Assassin's Creed? Like, are they going, like, the Call of Duty route where there's Infinity, there's going to be their own, like, games that stand on their own completely. There's, like, the mobile side of it. Like, I'm really confused about what is going on with Assassin's Creed. Their flagship franchise, that's, like, the only reason that Ubisoft still, is, like, who they are. There are some highlights for me, though. I'm very excited for Assassin's Creed Mirage. I have been wanting, I really, really liked Odyssey, Origins, and I didn't really like Valhalla, but I liked it enough. I like this change for the open world RPG type of Assassin's Creed, but I've been really wanting an old school feeling Assassin's Creed for a while. I've been wanting to go back to that. Like, I have specific missions. Give me a couple cities, like little hubs, like the old games. Give me a focused narrative. And I don't want to have a map the size of fucking a real life neighborhood that there's just so much in it, like video game size. Like, it's that big that it could cover. It's just like they're so big these days. And so I'm really excited about a smaller experience. And while I am excited for the Japan one, which is something that, to John's point, people have been asking for years, I feel like they kind of missed the boat. They missed their window.
Yeah.
Ghost of Tsushima came out. It was a revelation. We talked a lot about it last week on the show. And now Rise of the Ronin, like the Like a Dragon game. Like, there are so many people, they saw the success of Ghost of Tsushima, or they saw how many people were like, please, Assassin's Creed Japan, Assassin's Creed Japan, Assassin's Creed Japan. And Ubisoft kept not doing it. They're like, okay, well, let's do it ourselves. And now they're all going to be coming out at the same time. Then it's like, I love that setting, but I don't know. Like, that's going to be the open world RPG style. So, like, I personally would have loved it to be like the Mirage style, the old school style. But so I don't know. There's a lot to, like, juggle here. I think the Hexe, the idea of Hexe sounds kind of cool, that it's going to be like totally different. There might be witchcraft in it, witch trials, ancient Rome. Like, I'm all about that because it seems different.
Yeah.
The thing that worries me about Red and then also Jade, other than the fact that it's mobile, is that they just seem like, I don't know. There's too much here. Like, there's like 3 more games than there need to be right now that they're talking about. It's just, it's overload for me.
Yeah. I think that's my biggest issue with all of this, right? Is that it's an overload. It's an overload of content. It seems like they're dumping so much into one hat. And it honestly kind of feels a little bit like the issue that I think Marvel's going through right now,
I was about to say that.
where it's like, oh, we're going to dump there's all these different properties, but we're not giving enough time to flesh out anything because we're spreading ourselves so thin that we're going to end up producing content that's not the same caliber as it was before. Let's put it that way.
Yeah,
I don't want to
for sure.
say that the new Marvel content isn't good. But it's definitely not the same caliber that it was before. And I think there needs to be kind of like, I don't know. I just kind of think that what Ubisoft needs to do with Assassin's Creed is needs to pull a God of War. Like they need to do because essentially God of War was this hack and slash, fast paced action combat with not really much. I mean, a story, but the story was kind of meh. But it was just fun to play. Like it's just a fun game. So like the Ubisoft games are fun,
Yeah.
but like they're stagnant. This is stale, and
Yeah.
everything that they showed us is just the same shit we've gotten for the last decade plus, more
And
than a
like,
decade.
yeah, and like honestly, if it was just if the Ubisoft forward was Mirage and that was it, I think I'd be singing a different tune. I would feel like that was maybe more akin to God of War. Now, it's still it'd just be going back to its roots, which God of War didn't go back to its roots, but we've gone so far from the original Assassin's Creed formula that going back to its roots would feel like a big enough shakeup compared to the previous games. But the fact that there's just so much more here that like it almost feels like they're like, hey, we didn't announce something for like 3 years or whatever. So let's make up for lost time and then some. And it's just like,
I'm just a little bit worried that
ugh,
Ubisoft isn't going to make it to release all of these games.
maybe.
I mean, think about like Destiny had a 10-year plan. There was no Destiny 2. It was just going to be Destiny for 10 years. And then after a few years, they're like, yeah, we're going to have to reboot this because this is not turning out the way we want it to. And it seems like Ubisoft is like, no, stay the course. Just keep releasing the same game with a different skin time and time and time again. I don't know if I like it. I think there needs to be a shakeup,
Yeah.
but that's just me.
I'm with you. I'm with you on the shakeup. Let's jump to our last of the showcases that we have missed for the show, which is the Disney Marvel Showcase. This is definitely not as much here. It was a pretty short showcase. The highlights from this one: Marvel Midnight Suns, which is a game we've talked about a few times, got a new release date of December 2nd, but that is only for current gen, so PS5 and Xbox Series and PC. There was no release date for Switch, and I'm unsure if the current gen also means PS4 and Xbox One. I'm a little unclear on that, but it's definitely not coming to Switch in December, which this was a game that I was hoping to play on Switch,
Yeah.
but maybe it'll be a Steam Deck game for me if it's compatible on Steam Deck. After that, an interesting game called Illusion Island, which is a new couch co-op Mickey Mouse and Friends 2D platformer coming to Switch. So it's essentially like think like Mario, like new Mario Bros, like on the Wii, but instead it's with Disney characters and Mickey Mouse, which I'm not the biggest Disney guy, but the game looks to have a lot of style to it. And so depending on how it previews and reviews, like this might be a game that's on my radar for sure. Also Marvel Snap, which is a new Marvel deck building game coming to mobile and PC October 18th. I am a new convert to the deck building genre, so I am excited about this. So we'll see. And then after this, can you believe it, Cayman? The Gargoyles, the video game, is getting remastered and it's coming to modern consoles and PC. No dates given, but I just can't believe that we're about to have the OG Gargoyles as a video game. And then they closed out the show with, I think, what is unanimously the most exciting announcement. Amy Hennig, who we've talked about on the show several times, she was the original mind behind the Uncharted franchise, Legacy of Kain. She's had a very storied career. Her new game with Skydance New Media has been announced. Doesn't have a title yet, but we found out that it is going to be set during World War II. It is in collaboration with Marvel Games, and it is going to follow Captain America, Black Panther, Gabriel Jones, and Nanali, who I don't know the second two characters, but obviously we all know Captain America and Black Panther. And it is it's currently entitled, but you're going to play as all four of these characters in a story-driven game that will surely be, I assume, a pulpy globe-trotting adventure, since that is what Amy Hennig is known for. Cayman, I turn to you and ask, do you care?
Marvel Midnight Suns, yes. Illusion, no. Snap, no. Gargoyle Remastered, fuck yeah. And Amy Hennig's new game, I trust Amy, but at the same time, this is a brand new studio. And so what they're capable of doing is yet to be seen. So I'm trying to keep my expectations in check on this one, but I am excited. I think that there's a lot of great concepts and ideas that can be birthed out of this. But I think ultimately with a new studio, that is a little scary because they're taking on such a massive group of characters for this. But I do think that it has the opportunity to be something pretty big, but time will tell. Which is probably going to be in like 2 or 3 years.
Yeah, I was surprised at how little they showed of it. Like it was obviously a cinematic trailer. It was not like
it was very. I would think not even cinematic trailer. I would just say like a mood setter.
Yeah, you're right. It reminded me of trailers we used to get at E3 like 2008, where like it really didn't like you would look at the final game several years later and be like, wait, that's what you were showing. I hope that doesn't turn out to be the case, but I was getting the vibes from this trailer. So
God knows. I mean, they haven't really said what the gameplay is going to be like.
Yeah.
So
we'll have to wait and see. Speaking of gameplay, though, we did see a lot of gameplay this week. Came in
it was a great
from
segue.
a game. Hey, thanks. From a game that we didn't expect to be seeing for a while.
Yeah.
Jump in, Cayman.
So this comes from Joe Screbbles at IGN, and this is big. Grand Theft Auto 6 has leaked after dozens of videos of what purports to be an in-development footage appeared online. A user going by Teapot Uber Hacker, God, what an awful name, posted a zip file to GTA Forum saying, quote, here are 90 footage clips from GTA 6. It's possible I could leak more data soon. GTA 5 and 6 source code and assets. GTA 6 testing build. Oof. The clips subsequently made their way onto YouTube and Twitter and show robberies, gunplay, full voice conversations, and more. What appear to be debug elements closely resembling similar tools from Red Dead Redemption 2's development also appear on screen. The videos appear to confirm previous rumors of the game, including male and female protagonists and a Vice City setting. Teapot Uber Hacker claims they were downloaded directly from Rockstar's internal Slack groups. We will not be linking to the videos in this article. Now, this comes from Ryan Dinsdale at IGN.
So that's part one of what is a 3-part story.
He follows up by saying, Grand Theft Auto developer Rockstar Games has confirmed that the GTA 6 leaks that appeared online yesterday, September 18th, are real, but development will not be affected as a result. Rockstar published a statement to Twitter saying that early development footage was illegally taken from its systems following a network intrusion, and it's disappointed to have its new game shared for the first time this way. Quote, we recently suffered a network intrusion in which an unauthorized third party illegally accessed the downloaded confidential information from our systems, including early development footage for the next Grand Theft Auto. The statement reads, and quote, we are extremely disappointed to have any details of our next game shared with you all in this way. Our work on the next Grand Theft Auto game will continue as planned as we remain as committed as ever to delivering an experience to you, our players, that truly exceeds your expectations. The quote continues, we will update everyone again soon. Of course, we will properly introduce you to this next game when it's ready. We want to thank everyone for the ongoing support through the situation. End quote. Before we get to part 3, sorry, Pat.
Yeah. Let's discuss.
I don't believe a fucking word that Rockstar's saying about the fact that this is not delaying the development of the game. Sure. I think that what they're doing is they're putting that out there, being like, yeah, this is not going to delay anything, but it's hard to delay a game that doesn't have a release date.
It's interesting because there have been really sizable leaks in the past. The ones that come to mind, all of the story cinematics from The Last of Us Part 2 came out before the game. Like 70, 80, 90% of Halo 2 way back in the day leaked. I think of just recently, like announcements leaking, like The Last of Us Online, like Last of Us Part 1, like those kinds of things. But Red Dead Redemption 2, another Rockstar game a few years ago, had a big leak that they did. Yeah, it was like, you could see like kind of where it was. And those ones, I felt like, while big, usually had like the Red Dead Redemption one, not as much, but like it was usually like story driven or like here are narrative aspects of this game that people are really interested to know that have been leaked. But this is really different because this is the source code of the video game. And this is because like you look at the video, I watched like a collective 90 seconds of footage from these 90 videos. I didn't want to see much, but like you look at it and it just looks like Grand Theft Auto. It's in a city, you're a person shooting people or like robbing a store or whatever. Like it doesn't look like anything different. Like Grand Theft Auto is going to look like Grand Theft Auto. The only like revelations from it really are Vice City and you can play as a woman. The scary part here is that it is like Rockstar's code that has been leaked, not just information about the game.
So here's the big thing to that too, is that it's been purported that there are going to be live service elements built into the main narrative of the game. And if there are there's codes in there that are, and they've said like, oh, well, there's nothing here that's really going to affect anything. But I don't believe that. I believe that that's saving face so that their stocks don't drop, which guess what? They fucking plummeted after this leak came out. And ultimately, Rockstar has a very shaky history on the way it treats its developers. And so I don't give a fuck how this affects Take-Two, especially. Nor do I really care about how this affects Rockstar. I care more about the people who have spent years. Because
literally
there's
years of their life.
timestamps on some of these videos that are dating back to 2017.
Yeah.
Years of your life spent on this and potential chance that full code will have to be rewritten.
Yeah, it's such a bummer and it's so disrespectful because like that's why I didn't want to show any of the video because like again, it just looks like Grand Theft Auto, but like these people, it is their livelihood. And now they're getting so much hate and like people being like, oh, this looks like total garbage. Of course it looks like garbage. Yeah. It's video from 5 years ago of a game that probably won't be coming out for another 1, 2, maybe now more years. Like, I don't know a lot about game development. I know a lot about video games, but I don't know a lot about development. But what I do know about development is that like it is such a process and games don't start looking finished until like you're at the finish line.
Yeah.
Like there was like a big trend going around on Twitter recently of game devs being like showing finished game next to like what game looked like 2 years before it came out. And it is fascinating seeing like Cult of the Lamb, a recent one. I saw a video from one of the Cult of the Lamb devs where like you're seeing the game that I played, which was buggy as fuck, but you put that next to how it looked 2 years ago and it's like a single tone green floor with like a playable character that does not look anything like a lamb and a boss that is like 3 different like black dots that are just like kind of creating like an outline of the beast. And it's like, that's what that game looked like 2 years ago. And then you look at it now and it's a gorgeous game, even though it's buggy. Yeah. It's gorgeous. So like, it's so unfair that now they're being judged for a game that it's going to look so different when it's released.
You know, I think it's like getting angry about the way a game looks while it's in development is like going to a farm and getting pissed off when you see a cow and you're like, this looks nothing like a cheeseburger.
Sure.
Like, yeah, of course it doesn't look like a fucking cheeseburger, you idiot. Like, that's just like that. Every time I see anyone be like, this game looks like shit. This game doesn't even look as good as Grand Theft Auto 5. Like, dude, you're just dumb. There's no redemption. There's no way to redeem how fucking stupid you are.
And there are just so many people are that stupid.
I'll say it. I'll be the harsh one here. You're fucking dumb.
Yeah.
If you looked at these leaks and you're making a judgment on a game that's probably not going to come out for another couple years, if not longer than that because of what's happened.
Yeah. And I don't want to just talk in circles, but like, it's so silly. Like it's Grand Theft Auto. Like this isn't fucking No Man's Sky. Like all the games look the same. Their graphics are better each time. Right. Like I don't know. It's frustrating, but we got some comments. Let's see what people are saying. John, this isn't a cheeseburger. and the cheese is runny, he says. Classic. But yeah, so I hope. Oh wait, no, actually, there is more to the
We
story.
do.
Sorry,
We do have, and so there is potentially some good news. This third story comes from Ryan Clements, right? Just making sure I got the right Ryan.
Denzel. Ryan
Ryan
Clements
Denzel.
was let go from IGN about 11 years ago.
Bingo, bango, bongo. He writes, the alleged hacker that leaked around 90 videos of Grand Theft Auto 6 and also targeted Uber is being investigated by the FBI. As reported by Eurogamer, the hacker who claimed responsibility also said they were behind the major cyber attack suffered by Uber on September 18th. The taxi company has since released a blog post that announced it is actively working with the FBI and the U.S. Department of Justice to resolve the matter. Acknowledging that Rockstar had also suffered a breach, Uber said it believes the hacker is associated with, and this is a question, lapsus dollar sign? What?
I would assume it's
the
just
name of it?
pronounced lapsus, but I'm not totally sure.
Okay.
But I think they have some sort of association with like fucking crypto and shit. So I don't trust anything about it.
Well, apparently they have associations behind the recent attacks on Nvidia, Microsoft, and Samsung. So hopefully the hacker will be caught and brought to justice, whatever that means, in the world of corporate espionage. Is this not even really corporate espionage? I don't even know what the fuck this is.
I think this would just be like, it's not even fraud. There is a word here that I'm not finding.
Can you just like charge someone for malfeasance? Like it's just like that's it. It's just some point.
I think there is something. I mean, just the act of hacking is illegal, so I think it probably falls within that. And then also like sharing these like trade secrets that is affecting their stock now. Like that is damages, my friend.
Yeah.
That person apparently. Well, I was going to say word on the street is this person is supposedly 16 years old, which I really hope is not true. I hope this person is not a child. Because if they're a child, they won't really be punished. But I don't know. We'll see.
Yeah, it's one of those things. Like, ultimately, at the end of the day, I'm not angry if you fuck over some massive mega corporation. I'm angry when you fuck over the people who actually work and work hard.
And the people who we have talked about on this show having a history of being treated poorly by their corporate overlords.
So, if this ultimately at the end of the day, like if this is the ultimate goal is to try to fuck over Rockstar, you didn't do a good job of that.
Yeah.
You end up just screwing everyone who's put in hard work and time, because what's going to happen now, if they are holding these people accountable to a certain internal target date, guess what? They're now going to be fucked over even harder because of it.
Yeah.
So you just fucked yourself and your cause over. I don't think it's good. I do hope that, this gets brought to light. And at the end, I think the other thing too is like you're spoiling it for the rest of us. The people who don't want to see leaks and random shit like that. We want to be surprised. We want to have fun with our games. Like, you don't have to be an asshole all the time.
Truly, leaks serve nobody. Like it takes away the fun out of announcements. It makes devs feel like shit. It creates this cycle of like hate, and it's a goddamn shame. I mean, John says game devs and FX studios are treated like shit, used and tossed to the side each project. Yeah, like it's a cycle, and these leaks do not help that cycle. It just makes it worse. But that's it for the news, and it was a thick show. There were some big news stories that I had to cut because there was so much news.
Ethereum is no longer being mined, which means that you can get your graphics card for much cheaper. Another huge leak: Barbarian and Diablo 4 was leaked with like 40 minutes of gameplay. So much happened this week.
So much happened.
And those are just a couple. An Iron Man game was apparently announced. What is going on, Patrick?
Truly, what is going on? But I did throw in some of the what could have been news stories in other weeks. I threw them into the updating of the calendar. Some of this is for next year, some of this is for this year, but we'll just burn through these to end our sweet little show. Yakuza 8, Like a Dragon, which we briefly touched on a little bit, announced, different than just Like a Dragon. Notable games coming to Xbox Game Pass. There are more than these, but these are the ones I wanted to mention. Today, as of recording, September 20th, you can play Deathloop on Xbox Game Pass. And there is more to it than just Deathloop. It is now I forget what it's called. It's like the gold edition or something. There's new content. We have an extended ending, new weapons, new enemy types, new upgrades, and cross-platform matchmaking for the multiplayer aspect of the game, which is where you can invade another player, which is really dope. I'm definitely going to be playing. I want to close the loop again so I can get this extended ending, because the ending, you might remember, one thing that I was not super pleased with was the ending. It was very, very abrupt. Next week, a week from today, as of recording, Grounded is coming to Xbox Game Pass, the full version. It's been in early access for a long time now, but full version is coming out. And then on the 29th to PC Game Pass, we're getting Valheim, which that is a game I was going to get on Steam Deck because I've heard very good things about it, but I'm just going to wait for it to hit PC Game Pass. Suikoden 1 and 2 HD remastered, a huge announcement, a huge story that could have been an entire topic, announced coming to 2023. So that was announced a couple days ago. What you just mentioned, Marvel Entertainment and Motive Studio, they announced they're making a single-player third-person action adventure Iron Man game. Motive is an EA-owned studio, so let's hope it doesn't just turn into fucking Anthem, because that was also an EA game. Return to Monkey Island came out on PC, so if you like that franchise, it's getting incredible reviews. If you're Evan Brando, its Metacritic right now is like a 93 or something. So they did the thing. They made a game that's very, very good again. So that's out. Metal Hellsinger, like in the original version of this doc, that was its own segment. The reviews for Metal Hellsinger, also that's on Game Pass as well. Their scores are great. So if you're into rhythm shooter games in hell where you shoot demons to the beat of heavy metal music, like Cayman certainly is, go play that game. Highly anticipated Resident Evil 4 remake, also now coming to PlayStation 4. No word on Xbox or Switch, but now it is confirmed for PS5, Xbox Series, and PS4. PlayStation is releasing a limited edition controller for God of War Ragnarok. So if you like limited edition controllers, take a look at that for when you can pre-order it. And then finally, Ni no Kuni, Wrath of the White Witch, which was knocked out of the PlayStation bracket way too early last week.
Do you remember what game knocked it out?
The Last of Us Part 2.
Fair.
Yeah. As I said,
you fucked that bracket up.
I know. I really fucked that whole thing up. Just wait for the Nintendo bracket. I have a rough draft of the Nintendo bracket. It is brutal. It is brutal, Cayman. But what I'm closing with here, Ni no Kuni, Wrath of the White Witch, is available on Game Pass. It's on the Xbox now, which was a bit of a surprise. So check that out. We have a couple things from the chat. Liz McLean with it 2014. Valheim is incredible. I cannot suggest it enough. Neat dude.
I got this hat from Liz McQueen. Liz McQueen.
We call her the McQueen.
She's my McQueen.
Hey, after the last episode of Save Trash Cinema Trash or Pass, she may or may not be my McQueen as well. John in the chat, Hollow Knight 2 Silk Song coming to PlayStation. Good pull there, John. Totally missed that. There was so much news that I missed that Hollow Knight 2 is coming to the PlayStation. And that is the end of our show. Can I just say a tight 77?
We really did 87. Well. We really did well to pull this together.
Yeah. I really was afraid that this was going to be another 2-hour show, but we're here and we're there. We're every fucking where.
I will say, if you're interested in anything we talked about or want to see any of the other things we didn't bring up about any of the showcases, you can find all of them on YouTube at their respective channels. Just fucking search whatever it was. The Nintendo Direct, just fucking search it.
Just fucking search it.
Because these were all very long and we really did pull what we felt were the juiciest bits, but those juicy bits might be just gristle to you. So go watch all of those as well, because you might find some interesting games that we didn't talk about there that you might be hype trained Hogwarts Brittle Bones or something. I don't know.
Ooh, hype train Hogwarts Brittle Bones. Let's go, baby.
Let's go.
Thanks for coming along on the ride for us. You can follow me on Twitter, Patrick Schreck. You can follow Cayman on Twitter at Kid Cayman. You can follow the pod on Twitter at Spot Games Pod. You can follow us on Instagram and TikTok at Spotlight Games Podcast. Don't forget to follow Save Trash Cinema everywhere at Save Trash Cinema. So, when there are new episodes of that show, twitch.tv/Spotlight Games Pod to be part of the conversation. Tuesdays at 8 p.m. Eastern Time. New episodes Thursdays at 8 a.m. Eastern Time. I'm tired. I'm ready to take my shirt off and just fucking have a great night. So I'm going to go do that. But in the meantime, remember,